Today we are going to discuss about some important differential diagnosis of some common clinical sign. First is jaundice. Well, jaundice is clinically referred to as a condition characterized by yellowish discoloration of tissue and body fluid due to increase in bile pigment. Well, the cause can be broadly categorized into three, that is hepatocellular, obstructive and hemolytic. In hepatocellular cause, it may be due to viral hepatitis, it may be due to malaria, it can be due to typhoid. In obstructive, it can be due to gallstone, it can be due to stricture, neoplasm of bile duct and biliary atresia. And in hemolytic, it can be due to intracorpuscular defect and extracorpuscular defect. The two most common intercorpuscular defects are hereditary spherocytosis and sickle cell anemia and thalassemia. Whereas the three most important cause of extracorpuscular defect is drug such as quinidine and sulfonamide, physical agents such as burn, and infections such as malaria. In cyanosis, then the second sign is cyanosis. This refers to the bluish discoloration of nail due to increased amount of hemoglobin in the capillary blood. The type of cyanosis is basically the two, central type and the peripheral type. The cause of central type of cyanosis is congenital, cyanotic, Fallot, or congenital heart disease. In case of adult, it may be due to congestive heart failure. In peripheral type, it is usually due to cold or shock. Now comes the clubbing. Clubbing is a bulbous enlargement of short part of terminal phalanges, and the trick to remember the differential diagnosis of clubbing is ABC. A stand for all the A and B stand for all the B and C stand for all the C. What I want to say you will understand by this. First, the CVS cause. It may be due to congenital disease or cyanosis. Then the respiratory cause. It may be due to abscess or alveolitis. It may also be due to bronchiectasis and bronchogenic carcinoma. And in GI cause, it may be due to ulcerative colitis or chronic disease. See, there are A, B, C. If you jot it down in a copy, you will understand that what I want to say. Now the fourth sign is the lymphadenopathy. Well, in lymphadenopathy, we have to see several lymph nodes, which I am saying at a glance. First, to start from over the head, it is usually submental, submandibular, postauricular, occipital and scalenic lymph node. Later on, as we go approach down towards our body, we will see axillary, supratrochlear, inguinal, periauricular and parotid. Sometimes we also have to look for the some neck lymph node which are very important. Among them is the Virchow lymph node, which is usually found in stomach or testicular metastasis. The differential diagnosis of lymphadenopathy can be remembered by a mnemonic such as HINA. H stand for hematological causes such as Hodgkin, non-Hodgkin and HIV. I stand for inflammatory and immunological. In inflammatory, there are lymphadenitis, which may be acute or chronic. In case of chronic, it may be due to TB, syphilis or filariasis. Then comes the immunological. In immunological, it can be due to rheumatic, serum sickness and SLE. And then comes the then comes the N. N stand for neoplasia, and it may be either due to carcinoma or sarcoma. And lastly is the A. A stand for all the things that I have mentioned previously, such as AIDS, rheumatic arthritis, etc. Okay. So this is a short mnemonic to remember the lymphadenopathy. Now comes the edema. Edema can be of localized or generalized. It can be due to pitting or non-pitting, and the most important thing that we have to do is to differentiate it as either it is a cardiac origin or renal origin. Now comes the pulse. In pulse, we generally see the rate, rhythm, volume, character, condition of the vessel wall, and the radiofemoral delay. In rate, we have to know about bradycardia and tachycardia. Bradycardia can be said when the pulse rate is less than 60, and tachycardia can be said when pulse rate is more than 100. The common cause of bradycardia is usually hypothyroidism, vasovagal shock, heart block, athletic person who usually have a very low heart rate and hypothermia. Whereas in tachycardia, it may be due to fever, anxiety, thyrotoxicosis, pregnancy, drugs such as salbutamol and terbutaline. Now comes the rhythm. Rhythm, it can be regularly irregular or completely irregular. A regularly irregular, it is usually due to sinus arrhythmia. It may also be due to partial AV block and pulses bigeminous. Whereas a completely irregularly irregular, it may be due to atrial fibrillation and ventricular frequent asystole or extrasystole. Then comes the volume. For the volume, we usually look for the carotid artery pulsation, where it is best understood. If it is an hypokinetic pulse, it may be due to hypovolemia, shock, cardiac heart failure, mitral stenosis, and aortic stenosis. Whereas if we find it as an hyperkinetic pulse, which is also known as a bounding pulse, it may be due to hyperkinetic circulation, vital regurgitation, aortic regurgitation, ventricular septal defect, and partial ductus arteriosus. I usually used to remember by the word that all stenosis will cause hypovolemia and all the my regurgitation will cause hyperkinetic pulse. Character. The character of the pulse is very important to note and is very handy in some diagnoses, such as pulsus parvus, which is usually found in aortic stenosis, same as the anacrotic pulse, which is also found in aortic stenosis, and collapsing or water hammer pulse is usually found in mitral regurgitation, whereas the Bispherian pulse, that is the two pulse at once, is usually found in severe aortic regurgitation. Pulses bigeminous, pulses paradoxus are the variants of pulse character. Now, what is the pulsus parvus? Parvus means small. So, if a pulse is of small amplitude, it is pulsus parvus, and usually found in aortic stenosis, coarctation of aorta, and myocardial infarction. In pulses parvus at tardus, this means small amplitude during with slow rising and slow fall, usually found in aortic stenosis. Then the anacrotic pulse, that is the pulse that are felt along without stroke, is usually found in aortic stenosis and is a variant of pulsus parvus. Now the Bispherian pulse, as the name suggests, that is two pulses felt at once. So this is usually found in severe aortic regurgitation or aortic stenosis with aortic regurgitation. Lastly, the water hammer pulse, which is usually found in aortic regurgitation, mitral regurgitation, and patent ductus arteriosus, which is nothing but a high volume pulse with rapid upstroke and rapid downstroke, and the radiofemoral delay, which is done in certain cases. Now the blood pressure. Blood pressure, we all know, is either a high blood pressure or low blood pressure. High blood pressure is considered when it is above 120, and low blood pressure when it is below 80 in case of SVP. We will discuss about blood pressure later. And lastly, we will want to discuss is about the temperature. Temperature, it can be high temperature, it can be low temperature. If in case of low temperature, it may be hypothermia, that is below 95, subnormal, that is 95 to 97, normal, that is 98 to 99, and in hypothermia, it may be due to mild fever, that is 99 to 100, moderate fever, that is 101 to 103, and high fever, that is 104 to 105, and hyperpyrexia, that is more than 106. Continuous fever is usually found in typhoid, urinary tract infection, and infective endocarditis. Remittent fever, that is the fever above normal throughout the day but fluctuate more than 1 degree centigrade, is known as remittent fever and is typically found in typhoid. Intermittent fever is a temperature is present only for some hour in a day but goes back to normal for the remaining part of the day. It may be of three types: quotidian, tertian, and quadrant. Quotidian means when spike rises daily. Tertian means when spike rises on every alternate day, and where quadrant means when spike occur every 3 days. And this intermittent fever is usually found in malaria, kala-azar, pyremia, and septicemia. So this concluded our now. Oh, last one is the jugular venous pulse. The jugular venous pressure increases in case of congestive heart failure, right ventricular infarction, constrictive pericarditis, or pulmonary embolism, and tamponade. So this concluded our discussion on differential diagnosis of some common clinical signs.